It's very clear right now that we are headed into more difficult times. For a lot of people, 2023 may be one of the worst, but it's not all bad news. You see, I'm going to show you some information today that's going to explain what other people are doing out there, what you can do for yourself to make sure that not only do you survive 2023, but you thrive as well. Look, here we have it, real assets. This is an important topic that I will discuss in depth right here because those who hold real assets generally weather the storm better than those without. The second thing I'm going to look at is bad debt. If you've got way too much bad debt, usually that's a bad signal and particularly a problem for when you're in a recession. And the third thing is investments. What is it that we should be investing in during these difficult times? I'm going to break that all down for you today. Now, the next thing that I need to cover is really what's happening as a result of all this. Look, you need to get out of your bad debt. That's so key, so important. If you're holding on to that, especially as interest rates rise, it becomes even more difficult. You've got to live in the right area as well. What do I mean by that? We'll talk about that more in a second. And invest in real assets overall. If you're not investing in these real assets, it's going to be very difficult to make it through the times. I'm going to bring you every piece of the puzzle right here. You don't want to miss it. Let's begin. So let's start by looking at this. Which billionaire owns the most land in the US? Hint, it's not Bill Gates. That was interesting to read just that title, and although I had read about this previously, you always see the information about Billy G coming around, and I thought it was interesting and I wanted to bring this to you because it's going to explain something about real assets, okay? Earlier this year in May, claims were made that Microsoft Corp co-founder Bill Gates owned the majority of America's farmland. While that is false, with the billionaire amassing nearly 270,000 acres of farmland across the country compared to 900 million total farm acres. A different billionaire privately owns 2.2 million acres, making him the largest landowner in the US. This is John Malone. He's the former CEO of telecommunications. AT&T bought them out in 1999. Look, this guy's worth $10 billion and he purchased land because, quote, they're not making any more of it. You've heard that quote before, of course. And he buys ranch land. He's buying all kinds of stuff that most of these very, very big investors are getting into. He holds the title for the largest landlord in the US, surpassing Ted Turner, with a total of 2.2 million acres of crops, ranch property, and woodland. This is important because he's not just buying some raw land that has no purpose to it. This can be used to bring income in. He also talks about the conservation of land and so on. The forestry part of it in the Northeast is a pretty good business with very low return on capital, but very stable and leverageable. And we think it will provide good inflation protection in the long term. That's basically the motivation there. It just seemed to be a good thing to do. You have to look at this and assess it for yourself. Now, you might not be able to afford the land and you might not have people that could farm the land, but understand the value of land. In the breakdown section, I'm going to really get in depth with land, but know that you could make money, cash flow, and it doesn't matter if times are difficult or not. Land is just one of those, okay? I'm not doing a full in-depth discussion on each and every possible avenue for cash flow, but think about that. Let's go on, and I want to break down some more. Florida leads US population growth for the first time in 65 years. This is one place. And the reason I wanted to show you this, well, Florida is obviously in the news. So many of these big companies moving to Florida. You saw a lot of individuals moving there as well. When everything was locked down in New York, people were leaving New York, at least temporarily, and they were going to Florida to, just be able to walk around and so on, no lockdowns. So you see what happens when there's different changes that are occurring, whether this is a political thing, whether it's an economic thing. You see all these decisions that are happening on the individual level and on the corporate level. And as a result, you watch as Florida's housing prices increases, rent prices are increasing, you're seeing more businesses flocking there and so on. Economy generally doing better than a lot of other places. So this means, the reason I mention is, Do you live in the place that is best for you? I'm not saying you got to go to Florida. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that where you currently live, the place you live, is this the best for me? Maybe that means I got to go to a different city. Maybe that means a different state or province. Maybe this means I need to move out of the country entirely. But that is for you to decide. Do you have what you need surrounding you? Do you completely work on your own from home on your laptop and you can work from anywhere? If so, why do you live in the most expensive places possible? Why don't you live in a place that maybe is more conducive to what you desire? Maybe you want more safety. Maybe you want to be in a rural environment. These things, a lot of times we just get too comfortable. That's why we live in a place. Now, this is important as well. And ultimately, it is about investments. So I'll try to discuss it in the last section here, but this is really important. The IEA, the International Energy Agency, estimates that the nuclear sector will need to double in size over the next 2 decades in order to achieve the global net zero emissions goals. In fact, the demand for new optimized nuclear reactors will require more than $1 trillion in global investment. The US government has approved $700 million to support its nuclear energy industry. Same thing going on with Europe. They're going to have to put more into it. And now Japan says they're going to do the same thing. What is the trend here? They're going, whether we like it or not, whether you think you're on one side or the other, more and more money, big money, is going into nuclear. I talked about uranium countless times over the last few years. This is the one sleeper commodity as far as I'm concerned. So if you're positioning yourself, how could you possibly know the future? Where's that GPS crystal ball? Well, where is the money going? Do you see? Where are the people going to? Where is the money going to? And if you simply look ahead and see that trend, you're going to do better than the majority. If you're following along and simply trying to copy and you're 10 steps behind, that's not how it works. You see the trend, you look at the trillions of dollars that are going to be going into nuclear, especially from when I started talking about it a while ago. It doesn't matter if, the stock market is moving up or down. The government, which has the apparently unlimited wallet, unlimited pocketbook, they can sign as many checks as they want, they're funding it. So keep that in mind for your investments. And then we have this here. Avocado prices are plunging, sending mission produce stock towards its worst day ever. I'm very upset about avocado. If the prices are plunging, does that mean I get them cheaper at the store? Or does that mean suddenly they're not going to be planting as many avocados next year? That's sad. Okay, do not get in the way of me and the avocado GPS. This is the avocado GPS, okay? I need my $18 avocado toast. Okay, so this is important. The reason I mentioned it, of course, is not about avocados necessarily, but not everything goes up forever. Whether we're looking at Tesla stock, whether we're looking at avocados, not everything goes up forever. That's why we need diversification and we need cash flow. You've seen me wearing the cash flow shirts and sweaters all the time. I do that to remind myself. Adidas is scrambling to sell $530 million in Yeezys after cutting ties with Ye. I think I probably butchered both of those names. But anyway, this is important because if you look at what retailers are doing right now today, it's not just about one company. It's not just about one category or sector or anything. These companies have too much inventory. So watch out where you put your money. It's not all one-dimensional. Let me explain in detail here. Real assets like land can be an important way to preserve wealth during a recession for several reasons. Real assets tend to be less volatile. The value of real assets like land is generally less prone to market fluctuations compared to financial assets like stocks. This means that they can provide a more stable and reliable store of value during times of economic uncertainty. Real assets provide a tangible source of value, unlike financial assets, which are based on abstract concepts like market demand and investor sentiment. Real assets like land could have tangible value based on their physical properties and location. This means that they can hold value even if the stock market or other financial markets are performing poorly. Real assets can provide a stable source of income. Some real assets, such as rental properties or agricultural land, can generate a steady stream of income through rent or crop sales. This can help to provide a financial cushion during a recession, as well as a long-term source of income even after the recession has ended. The value of real assets tends to hold up better during recessions, as people still need a place to live and businesses still need physical locations to operate. In contrast, the stock market can be more volatile and unpredictable during a recession. While it is possible for a particular stock to do well for a period of time, it is also possible for it to never fully recover after a recession. This is because the value of stocks is based on factors such as company performance, investor sentiment, and market conditions, which can all be affected by economic downturns. Overall, real assets like land can provide a reliable and stable way to preserve wealth during economic recessions, as they are less prone to market fluctuations, have tangible value, and can provide a stable source of income. That's my explanation, not just about land, but real assets in general, okay? I'm just showing land as one example for here and today. You've got to understand what's happening with people. I told you before, you got to get out of bad debt. The credit card debt is just the one that you got to do everything possible to get out of it, especially as the price goes up of that debt. We expect to see card balances exceeding $900 billion by the end of this year. This year, $900 billion. This is unbelievable. And why? It's because we're running out of savings. Look at the federal government spending $6.27 trillion. $6.27 trillion. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I had to pull up the treasury.gov website. Is that real? And here it is. I always show you the sources themselves. This is the Treasury's website. $6.2 trillion. They're only bringing in 4.9. Do you see a problem? If that was a corporation, it would be cash flow negative. And you would say, that's not good. That's not a good. I'm not touching that. But it's the federal government, and they say, no worries, all good. Do you see what's happening here? As interest rates rise, we've got a big issue. Then we have stocks like Amazon. They are kicked out of the $1 trillion club. In fact, the stock has dropped 50%. Yet, I have heard from many people over and over again, Amazon stock could never, absolutely never drop 50%. It would be impossible. And yet it's happened. Nothing necessarily goes up forever. Even Jeff Bezos himself said one day Amazon will go bankrupt. Now, I'm not saying that's happening right here, but just look at the trends and realize that if something is going straight up, whether it's Tesla or any stock, it doesn't have to go up forever. Things can change. It doesn't matter what those degenerate YouTubers are telling you. You've got to really base this on reality. And this is just talking about the interest payments on that debt. Look, let's get real for a second here. Just like you, the individual, the country is in the same predicament, and that is if you do not get your house in order, you're going to pay the price. And that's what Elon Musk is talking about here. He's warning against margin debt on risk of market mass panic. He breaks it down in here, just a couple quotes, and it doesn't matter about Elon Musk specifically, really. I'm just using this as an example because a lot of people took out margin debt on their Tesla stock thinking, hey, look how much I've made all this money. I can just go on margin. They do this. They buy themselves a Tesla, maybe. They go out there and buy themselves a house or a jet or whatever the case may be. And then the stock drops by 60% or so. Big mistake. Get out of margin debt as well. Okay? Get your financial house in order today and invest in real assets. At the same time, you've got the government that's going to use all of their resources to make sure that every transaction you do is tracked. They want to get it all. In fact, they've delayed the whole $600 third-party platforms situation, PayPal, Venmo. If you make a $600 transaction, they're going to know about it. They've delayed that, saying, hey, we want to make sure that tax season goes through smoothly. And so $600, we're going to have to wait on that. But the point is, they wanted to know every single transaction you make, every single day. They want to know about it all. You got to get your situation in order, and you've got to do it today. I hope I explained that all right here and now. Get out of that bad debt. Invest in real assets. Where are you living? Is it the most conducive to your lifestyle? Is it the best place to be? Is it? Question that. A lot of times, simply moving locations could be the biggest change of your life in a positive direction. But know what you're doing. There's a lot of people who move from condos into homes and they, 2020, and they regretted that. So don't be one of those people. If there's anything I can do, please let me know. I am very active, especially on Twitter, so I can get back to you really quickly. You can try to comment below. You can do what you need to for your own circumstances, your own family. Please just take the action today. If this was informative, right down there's a subscribe button. I bring videos every single day. It's right next to the like button. Hit that, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care.